Over the last few days, I've been working on a two-dimensional platformer game using a version of Roblox Studio from over 14 years ago. While developing it, the old version I'm using sets more limitations than there needs to be, forcing me to get creative with how I go about making things. As I work on it, I often think about creative, underrated passion projects on Roblox that either lost popularity for one reason or another, or never got the recognition they deserved in the first place. On the other end of the spectrum, for every Roblox game like work at a pizza place that's been iconic and regularly updated for the last 14 years, there are 10,000 games like jump down a hole and slide 99999 miles for free admin. Over the last 17 years, the landscape of Roblox has changed vastly, leaving many games that couldn't keep up in the dust. To celebrate both prequels to this video hitting 1 million views, we're exploring the depths of Roblox once again. When I say dead in this video, I mean less than 5 players online per day, and usually no players at all. As well, the release dates for the games I mention here are usually different from the creation date on the website, often because of old glitches with the website or the game being replaced by a different game at some point. Replacing games with different games was a common practice in the 2010s, usually because users could only have a limited number of places open at a time, depending on whether they had Builders Club or not. With most dead games, there's usually one of 4 reasons that it died out, often with a bit more story to it. 1, the gameplay was repetitive with no replayability to it. 2, the game stopped receiving updates or the developer got banned. 3, the game broke entirely and the developer stopped supporting it after that, or the original version got taken down. Number 4, better games took its place and the expectations for that genre changed. And the secret 5th option for when the developer gets into controversy. For the first section of this video, I want to talk about PvP games and fighting games, which is a pretty loose umbrella term. Fighting games are the oldest genre of multiplayer Roblox games and have changed a lot over time. This section will focus on the more advanced round-based PvP games with different modes and maps. We'll get to the older brick battle stuff later. Throughout 2013, Daxter33's Paintball, released 2 years prior, was constantly in the top 3 most played games on Roblox of all time. It's a team-based paintball game with a plethora of different modes: elimination, King of the Hill, base defense, controller, and more. The game is definitely janky, which is expected from a Roblox game from 12 years ago, but it's fun. My only real complaint about the game is the weird force zoomed in FOV when using guns. In 2018, however, Roblox made their infamous filtering enabled update, breaking any games with scripts that run off the player's computer instead of the server. It was initially done to prevent exploits, but instead broke many old games that hadn't been updated in a while. The filtering enabled update breaking games will be a common theme throughout this video. The developer BMC published a well-made remake of the game in 2019 that recreates the original pretty well, which is what is seen in the background footage. For a short time in 2014 to 2017, murder mystery games were all the rage on Roblox. The 3 I remember the most are Murder Mystery 1 and 2 by Nicholas, The Mad Murderer by Lullerus, and of course, Twisted Murderer by Taymaster. It's not too unique, there are murderers, sheriffs, and innocent bystanders. As well, I remember this game constantly being compared to The Mad Murderer. It also doesn't help that when Lullerus made Mad Paintball, Taymaster made Twisted Paintball. When Twisted Murder originally came out, its main appeal was its special game modes such as Juggernaut or Sheriff Showdown. This game was huge in early 2015, but as far as I know, it stopped being updated entirely around 2017, and has had little to no player base ever since. It's so strange to see a game with almost 100 million visits and no players online. To be fair, Taymaster has a lot more games to focus on anyway, which is likely the main reason for the lack of updates. I didn't mention this in the original voiceover, but it's a 50-50 chance the game works. Randomly, the game will break entirely, with players spawning out of bounds. Suddenly, the active player count will spike from 0 to 10, and the game can actually go on as well. In 2015, Ozzypig, an already well-known Roblox developer, released a game called Fistacuffs, about beating people up on a stage, literal fisticuffs. At the time it came out, I remember the game being a huge deal. Nowadays though, it has no active players, despite at least being a functioning game still. It has 12 million visits as of 2023. And quick side note, if you're wondering how I'm playing these dead games with servers full of people to replicate the original experience, it's because these are members of my Discord. Join, get the game revival roll, and maybe you can be one of these lucky people. Going back 7 years, in April 2008, a developer named Conix teamed up with the former Roblox employee Clockwork to create Kiseki CTF. Kiseki was a team-based capture the flag game with all sorts of custom weapons, classes, and more. At the time of its creation, it was seen as one of the greatest games on Roblox, and and it was highly influential. Because Clockwork of all people had a hand in making the game, custom audio and meshes were used in the games, which from about mid-2008 to 2013, normal users were not allowed to do. Since Clockwork uploaded these assets to Roblox for anyone to use, tons of popular free model weapons from the early 2010s used them. The actual Kiseki game is broken nowadays, however. The developers manually switched the entire game between set maps made by fans of the game instead of having a map selection system in the game, meaning the game has been stuck on the map Mush Moon since 2010. Script Tester 123's War CTF was an old team-based capture the flag game with a military theme that was super popular in 2008 and 2009. It started losing popularity around 2011-ish, and eventually it stopped receiving updates altogether, leading to the game breaking and being generally forgotten by the community, despite being one of the most popular Roblox fighting games ever at one point. Kinetic Code is an interesting example of a dead Roblox game because it's not technically finished. Kinetic Code is an FPS game by Scripton that started development in 2016. When it was created, it made waves across the Roblox community for how polished its graphics were, despite running on the Roblox engine. After that, development moved slowly for a while until it reached the alpha stage in 2020, sparking a newfound interest in the game. It has 7 million visits now, though it seems to not have been updated in a year. It does look promising, to be honest, so I'm curious to see where it goes. An interesting fighting place I'd like to highlight is Pandemonium, created by Ice128 in May 2008, which was shown in the Explore Roblox trailer by Shedletsky in 2009. Players fight in a wide variety of strange arenas while crazy events happen. According to a newly found forum post from a now defunct unofficial Roblox forum that Clockwork owned called Roblox HQ, Pandemonium had 4 arenas that players would sword fight in a sort of round-based minigame type fashion. The orange arena, where players would use a sweep tool to spleef other players. Random events would happen here with sounds indicating their arrival. The blue arena, where players had to hide behind cubes to avoid auto turrets. The arena would even shift and flip over at times. The yellow arena, described as confusing, that sucks players towards the center. And finally, the green arena, with a moving floor and bars that kill players. Sound cues will indicate the arena changing direction or bars moving. Looking at archives of the old Roblox forums, we can see that this game was a fan favorite, often called a hidden gem on Roblox. Sadly, the game stopped being updated in 2009 and was closed entirely in August 2013. All that's really left of it are the few seconds of Shedletsky playing it in that trailer, one screenshot, and people asking on the Roblox forums if anyone wanted to play it. This one is truly dead. Especially during the early 2010s and late 2000s, town and city games on Roblox were everywhere. None of them were too unique from each other and usually served the exact same purpose, but in a different style. Floppa98's Greenwood town, with over 42 million visits, was one of the top town and city games on the site. In it, you could either be a cop or a criminal, stopping crime or causing it. Even though it has the same occupations and role-playing aspects as similar games, Greenwood town heavily focuses on the PvP aspect. The developer started to focus on other projects in the late 2010s instead of maintaining the game, and it eventually lost popularity. Just a year earlier, in 2010, OneDev2 published a game called Welcome to the Town of Robloxia, a town and city roleplay game that was the most popular game on Roblox for a little while. Along with that game, OneDev2 worked with the developer Playrobot to publish a similar title called Welcome to the City of Robloxia, City of Robloxia being the much less popular of the two games. It had a lot of the same features and a completely different map. Unlike Welcome to the Town of Robloxia, it focused more on living in an apartment and socializing with others than getting money from various occupations. The game was active for a short time after OneDev2's account was banned in 2012, before it was put under review at a random point around 2017, making it unplayable. Another long-lasting town and city roleplay game that was huge on Roblox during the late 2000s was Robloxaville, created by Playrobot sometime in late 2008. It was one of the most popular Roblox games for a couple years and was way more complex than the majority of its competitors. You get a job, make enough money to buy a house, and then customize it, and then make sure you don't get sick and die. The game's main flaw was its poor optimization. I cannot even fathom how horrible it must have been trying to play this on the computers of the time. As well, this was the first game to use the Morph Magic GUI that was used in tons of roleplay games in the 2010s. That model was created by Playrobot, the developer of Robloxaville, in late 2010. You can be a turkey. Robloxaville decreased in popularity over the mid-2010s until it was eventually broken by updates. Now it attempts to teleport you to a place that just doesn't exist. Kingdom Life 2 is a roleplay game with an interesting history that barely falls under town and city roleplay games, but whatever. Originally released by Boopbot in 2011, a year and a half after its predecessor, Kingdom Life 2 is a medieval roleplay game with optional PvP elements. This was a hugely popular game back in 2012 with over 18 million visits as of 2023, though this might not be the Kingdom Life 2 you're thinking of. In late 2012, Dev Bucket, formerly known as the LOL Guy 301, re-uploaded a stolen copy of Boopbot's Kingdom Life game under the exact same name. This version has over 60 million visits, which is funny because even though it was updated regularly for over 10 years, it has no credit to Boopbot, with Boopbot even stating that Dev re-uploaded a stolen copy of Kingdom Life 2 without permission. Around a year ago now, Dev was banned from Roblox for off-platform controversies, and his version hasn't been updated since. Both versions are dead now because of a lack of updates. In March of 2010, the Roblox staff put out a series of skateboard gear initially tied to a Disney XD sponsored Zeke and Luther event. This inspired and encouraged a trend of skatepark games, which were popular for the next few years. By far the most popular skatepark places were ADIO and Goliath, both released by Inkbleed in early 2011, garnering millions of plays in the coming months. Sadly, the original skateboard gear is broken and has been for years, and ever since these parks have been completely empty. In each of the Exploring Dead Roblox games videos so far, I've had sections dedicated to the lesser-known projects of well-known developers with an extensive back catalog of Roblox games. The first one I want to talk about is former Roblox developer Zeekerss, who has a large back catalog of unique single-player games. He's now known as the creator of games like It Steals and Lethal Company.
What the f***? Please don't do this, please. What? What the f***? Bye. What?
In April of 2014, Zeekerss started work on the game A Lucid Dream, an experimental single-player 2D title. It's a rather short, surreal platformer set in a dream. I remember this game being quite popular on Roblox at the time, and it was even nominated for Best Single-Player Game and Best Art Direction in the 2015 Bloxy Awards. At the time, Zeekerss was only 11 or 12 years old, and his early projects show that he's always had potential to make great games. A lot of his earlier projects, even his attempts at horror games, were incredibly unique, often having a dreamlike quality to them. Doodle, created in December of that year, is a great example of the so-called dreamlike qualities found in Zeekerss' early projects. Doodle was an experimental 2D exploration title, designed using hand-drawn artwork submitted by different users from the Roblox community. The game's major flaw, at least to me, is that the large amount of textures can load slowly on bad connections, especially at the time it was created. Breach was Zeekerss' first attempt at a horror game, created in February 2014. It initially started as an experiment inspired by SCP Containment Breach, hence the name, but it was polished and expanded into a full fan game before release. This game is especially amateur and barely works. Unlike the rest of Zeekerss' early Roblox projects, this game is in a first-person perspective and isn't single-player. It's insane how much Zeekerss improved in game design in just a year. The difference in quality between this and his later Roblox horror projects is insane. Lightbulb was Zeekerss' first popular survival horror game, released in March 2015 with millions of visits. Lightbulb is a top-down perspective horror game where the player essentially has to play hide-and-seek with a monster. The player's main goal is to escape a maze. At the time of its creation, it was regarded by the community as the scariest game on Roblox, even being nominated for Best Single-Player Game of 2016 in the 4th Annual Bloxy Awards in 2017. The original game is now broken, though Zeekerss made it open source, allowing for remakes and remasters to come out, notably Re-Illumination, released in 2019. Silent Dark is another popular single-player horror game created by Zeekerss, released a year later. The game starts with the player hearing an announcement on the radio about anomalies seen in the area, and shortly after, monsters start to appear in the player's dreams, and even start affecting the real world. This was the most popular out of any of Zeekerss' Roblox projects, with over 5 million visits. Much like Lightbulb, the original version of this game is now broken as a result of Zeekerss focusing their effort on standalone games instead. I find it fascinating seeing where popular developers got their start. In Zeekerss' case, he went from low-quality Roblox places in 2011 to award-winning experimental platformer titles in 2014 and 15 to one of the most popular standalone indie horror games of 2023. John Shedletsky, formerly going under the name Telemon, had a huge role in the early development of Roblox, being the first employee and creative director from 2006 to 2014. Many of Shedletsky's games were fighting games of different styles. Sword Fight on the Heights 1 through 4, Crossroads, and Haunted Mansion are good examples of this. One of the most bizarre of his, in my opinion, is Wizard Wars, created in February 2007 on an alt account named Son of Sevenless, known for being the richest Roblox account since it hosts the limited items of terminated users. Wizard Wars is a PvP game that heavily relies on building up mana to perform stronger attacks like Balefire, Cage, and Hellfire. Players are also given catapults so they can launch explosives. If you recognize this game, it's likely because it was featured in many of the oldest Roblox videos available on YouTube, including official trailers and demos. At one point in 2007, this was the third most popular Roblox game of all time. The next game, Pinball Wizards, is a fun one. Created in May 2007, Pinball Wizards is another team-based fighting game. The pinballers fight amongst each other inside a pinball machine, while the pinball wizards stay on the outside trying to rack up points while playing pinball. While the pinballers fight, they have to watch out for flying pinballs. It was a pretty cool idea, and around the same time as Wizard Wars, it was the second most played Roblox game of all time, right behind Mini Game World by Mike. Nowadays, the game has 240,000 visits, and the weapons don't work anymore. When I was younger, a personal favorite Shedletsky place of mine was Rocket Fight Advanced, created in the last days of 2007. Rocket Fight Advance is a fighting game set in the sky on an assortment of colored platforms. The closer to the center, the faster the platforms will move and spin around as players fight on them. Come nightfall, all platforms will start to fly around at high speeds. Much like Pinball Wizards, the version of Rocket Fight Advanced hosted on Shedletsky's account is unplayable because the weapons no longer function properly, leaving the game dead. Nuke the Whales, originally published in 2006 on an alt account, is a game by Shedletsky where players shoot whales to collect blubber. The game's concept was based on a gag in a Simpsons episode. As sort of an inside joke, Shedletsky often made tongue-in-cheek advertisements for the game on and off from 2009 to 2013. Many of the later ones used famous Roblox developers' avatars and attributed quotes to them, advertising Nuke the Whales as a terrible game. Nowadays, it seems to get no players. The final game I want to mention from Shedletsky is Roblox Colosseum, a map that Shedletsky reused for multiple tournaments and projects. While the map was originally built in November of 2006, it was reused for the Roblox Grand Melee event in 2007 and later for a sword fight training game in 2008. For being as old as it is, the Colosseum is rather well built. These games and events are rather obscure now, and the majority of places that use this model have been dead for years. Some parts of the model may be familiar to you, as the pillars were reused in sword fights on the heights. Stealth Pilot is a well-known developer that I'd also like to highlight, having an extensive back catalog of games, many of which rarely see players in 2023. Stealth Pilot joined Roblox in the summer of 2006 and remained an active developer over the next 5 years. Earlier in 2023, Stealth Pilot returned to his games, now between 13 and 17 years old, and returned them to a functioning state, so they could be played again. By then, the games had been broken for years, almost a decade, deterring the active player bases of each. Pirates of the Robloxian was at one point the second most popular game on Roblox. Created in the summer of 2007, the game surrounds two teams in boats as they fight at sea. Boats can be controlled by players, and cannons can be used to take down parts of the other team's ship. When the ships get close enough together, players can jump to the other team's ship and start fighting with swords. Two sequels were created in the following 2 years with moderate success. The third one introduces an XP and level system, which I thought was pretty interesting. Much like other games created by Stealth Pilot, it was broken for a few years as a result of controversial game-breaking updates to Roblox like the filtering enabled update and Roblox deprecating hopper bins in 2015. That was until Stealth Pilot fixed the game in 2023 as a part of the Stealth Archives collection. In 2008, Stealth Pilot created a once popular duology of Roblox horror games, titled The Mummy. The game is about being stranded at an unknown location in Egypt and reading a scripture in an ancient temple, activating a curse on yourself unknowingly. Following this for the next 10 minutes, players have to survive being being attacked by a mummy. I've mentioned this before for the creative way it implemented custom music, using an external setup file linked in the place description that players had to download to a certain spot on their computer. Disturbed Planet was one of Stealth Pilot's later projects from 2010, and definitely an interesting one. It's an exploration-based horror game about a space excursion gone wrong, with all crewmates on board crashing into a Mars-like planet filled with aliens. Your goal is to upgrade your clearance level by acquiring keycards from various buildings to find missing components to your ship, allowing you to leave. While you're on that planet, paranormal activity is very apparent. This is one of those games that, because it was made in the era between Roblox allowing users to upload unmoderated audio files and meshes directly into the place file, and Roblox finally allowing users to upload audio files and meshes to the website, Stealth Pilot had to get creative, using small bits of audio uploaded by the admins played at different speeds for all the sound effects and music in the game. By far, the most recognizable of Stealth Pilot's creations is the Undead Coming, which he made in late 2008. In the Undead Coming, one player is selected to be a zombie tasked with infecting all the survivors. Survivors have to kill zombies with the given weapons without turning into a zombie themselves. The survivors have to stay inside of a crumbling house as there's a poisonous gas outside that the zombies are immune to. Though the game is from 2008, it was popular for a long while after that. Yeah, game stealing was a huge problem on Roblox from 2011 to 2014, and in 2012, Jared Valdez 2 owned a massively popular clone of the game called Zombie Outbreak, which had 7.6 million visits, with the only major difference being map variations. The original version of the Undead Coming was broken from about 2012 to 2022, until the game was updated in 2023. Between that time, remakes and remasters of the game were very common. Starting in 2008, around the time Undead Coming was released, zombie games started to become a large genre of Roblox games, particularly wave-based FPS games like Julie Cat's Zombie Apocalypse and Build to Survive games. Build to Survive games started to increase in popularity in late 2007, following the release of Servano's Resident Evil Build to Survive, and even more in 2008 after the release of Chakra's Zombie Defense Tycoon, both of which were hugely popular at the time. Logitech 101's Call of Robloxia Zombies from 2011 was once a popular wave-based zombie survival game, inspired by the Zombies game mode from Call of Duty World at War. Though it has over 9 million visits now, it has 0 players due to the game being broken, as a result of Roblox deprecating certain features. Eventually, this game turned into Project Lazarus, which has over 150 million visits, and is one of the most popular Roblox games, period. CoderQwerty's Contamination from 2009 is a classic story-based zombie survival horror game, inspired by the Left 4 Dead duology. As you navigate through an abandoned facility, a character will speak to you through hints that cover your screen, telling you about nearby zombies. In its prime, Contamination was known for 2 things: its high-quality scripting and its difficulty.
Dude, no! No! What?
Similar to Call of Robloxia Zombies, this game stopped working properly as a byproduct of the filtering enabled update. It's still playable to a degree, but the weapons and zombies are both extremely broken, making it near impossible to finish the game. Roblox horror games, especially those that rely on storytelling and puzzles, can fall off in active player counts rather quickly, especially if replayability isn't the game's strong suit. Possession was a Bloxy-winning horror game created by Snake World in 2013. Possession is a murder mystery type game where one player is chosen to be a ghost and can change form into any player in the game. The game last saw updates in the summer of 2014 and stopped being maintained in favor of other projects soon after. In late 2015, the game stopped functioning properly entirely, and Snake World stated that he would not update the game to fix it. About 7 years ago, the first 2 installments in a trilogy of multiplayer horror games titled Vampire Hunters, created by Zack Attack, were immensely successful. These 2 games were about humans hunting vampires with a murder mystery-esque gameplay loop. A unique feature that set it apart from other popular murder mystery games from the time was the slow draining of health by vampires rather than instant death, which allowed players the chance to escape, possibly surviving. Vampire Hunters 2, released in 2015, also garnered immense popularity. Both Vampire Hunters 1 and 2 were nearly the exact same, with the main difference being character customization. These 2 games are pretty dead now, usually having 2 or less players online at a time. The gameplay likely got stale for many, and especially with Vampire Hunters 2, exploiters and players that teamed with vampires were huge complaints. Vampire Hunters 3, on the other hand, is still popular and adds a lot of unique features to the original 2 games' gameplay. With 5 million visits, one of the fastest growing Roblox horror games of 2014 was Smooth Block Models Don't Blink, a Doctor Who themed horror game. A few players in the server are chosen to play play as weeping angels, one is chosen to be a doctor, and the rest are innocent. When survivors take their collective eyes off the weeping angels, they're allowed to move and kill their victims. The innocent must survive until the end of the round, all the while making sure they don't look away or blink at the wrong time. Despite it being as popular as it was back then, and still functioning properly in 2023, kinda, it has 0 active players. At one point in 2018, a sequel was promised, though no further updates have come out about it since then. The next couple of games didn't fit into any other genre present in the video, so they got their own section. Six Flags Great Robloxia, created in late 2007, was a massively popular theme park game on Roblox at the time of its creation, even having a spot in the top 10 most popular Roblox games of all time at one point. It's a pretty janky game by today's standards, or even the standards of the time. You can either go on roller coasters, which provide varying results, or these rides that spin really fast. As of now, it's preserved in the state that it was in back in 2008, and updates have been cancelled. For a game this old, 5.7 million visits is quite impressive. Fall Down Stairs, created by Bloxer with a 0 in 2009, is one of those games that's been in the back of my mind for years. It's exactly what it sounds like. Your character ragdolls down a long flight of stairs and you receive points for doing so. There's a fighting arena in the game, and the points you get from falling down the stairs can be used to buy weapons. This is another one of those games that is super simple, repetitive gameplay, leading to its success not lasting that long. In 2012, Wingman 8, known for his games Galleons and Armored Patrol, released The War of the Worlds based on the H.G. Wells novel of the same name. The War of the Worlds is a game where humans have to defend a city from an alien invasion. It wasn't his most popular work or his best, but it was relatively popular at the time of its creation, and sadly in 2021 it was shut down for good, as the game no longer functions properly in the modern day Roblox client. The Quarry is yet another one of those games that has been on the back of my mind for a while, but I couldn't remember the name of it. The Quarry is a mining simulator game with over 12 million visits, created by dummies in 2014. As you mine further into the depths of the world, you find new, rarer materials of higher value. When returning to the surface, you can sell the materials you've gathered for money. As far as I could tell, updates for the game have slowed tremendously as time goes on. The gameplay loop, while addicting for a short time, doesn't work well when stretched out over a long period of time. Just 2 months after Mirror's Edge was released, Place Rebuilder, the developer known for creating the Reason to Die series, published his first popular Roblox game, Mirror's Edge: The City Battle. It's an amateur recreation of Mirror's Edge in Roblox that was so popular at one point it was featured in the trailer Explore Roblox, which showcases a bunch of user-made games that were popular at the time. The original game hasn't been officially playable since the summer of 2009, as Reason to Die replaced it. The original game is unplayable and considered lost media now. There is a remastered version from 2011 that Place Rebuilder was working on, which is still available under a stolen copy uploaded by a random user. The runner's abilities such as side spinning and dashing don't work because of the deprecation of hopper bins, a class in Roblox Studio that was used for inventory items before tools existed. They were almost the same, except hopper bins didn't need handles like tools do. As well, if you're a part of the SWAT team, your gun does not work anymore because of filtering enabled. This video would feel incomplete without a section about obby games. Obbies have consistently been a Roblox homepage mainstay since 2007, though they've existed as far back as October 2006. In April of 2007, a game-changing place was created that changed the course of Roblox's history. Waffle Boy's obstacle course popularized obby games to the community, and partly because of the promotion of the game from the admins, it single-handedly turned obby games into a trend for years to come. It's a pretty standard obstacle course, trampoline jumps, tightropes, and these weird guess the right door sections, and more. It was replaced by a different game on Waffle Boy's account in 2008, but while it was still available, it was one of the most popular games on Roblox throughout 2007. This is before obby games were called obbies by the Roblox community too. The term obby only started picking up traction around early 2008, most likely so the title didn't get too long or nobody misspelt it, cause that was very common at the time. From about 2011 to 2014, game stealing was a huge problem, some notable culprits being Jared 4 Valdez 2 and Julius Cole. A perfect example of this is BitQE's The Great Flood, an obby game set in a flooding city created in the summer of 2011. The original game only has a few 100,000 visits, but probably has millions over its many clones and re-uploads. Obby games can die out rather fast. When an obby isn't updated and the player has already finished it, there's rarely any reason for them to replay it. Sinister Alex's super mega fun obstacle course from 2009 and Audi 80's Wipeout obby from 2010 both died for the same reason. season. A kind of similar game I remember playing a lot when I was younger is Volcano Escape 2 by Kitty6660. It came out in 2013 and I remember it being a pretty huge competitor to Crazy Blocks' Flood Escape. It's very similar in nature to Flood Escape: escape a building, flooding with lava, solve a puzzle, and you win. Nowadays though, the game seems to rarely see active players despite it functioning properly and being rather fun. Polyhex, known nowadays for working on games like Super Bomb Survival, Find Everything, and Super Doomspire, once owned a popular trilogy of Nintendo-influenced obby titles on Roblox called Roblox Adventure. Created between 2008 and 2009, Roblox Adventure has you going through levels, collecting tokens to progress to new ones. Similar to Super Mario 64's red coin system, you can also collect 3 blue coins to get an extra token. Though they may seem basic now, these games, especially the second and third Roblox Adventure, were super well received at the time of their release. It should also be noted that, like with many of the oldest obbies, the physics and movement mechanics of the older clients made them much harder to complete. Minigame places on Roblox were also huge in 2008 and 2009, with some good examples being Mike's Minigame World, Person299's Minigames, and Have-Meet's Minigames. Have-Meet's Minigames was special because it was uncopylocked for a short time in 2009. During that time, the minigame round choosing script was stolen hundreds of times and uploaded as a free model, inspiring many future minigame places on Roblox. Have-Meet's Minigames was also broken for years until 2021 when Have-Meet came back to Roblox and started fixing old broken minigames. Weirado, an older notable user who was banned for spamming on the Roblox forums around 2009, also owned a minigame place that has been mostly forgotten. For about 3 months in 2008, Weirdo's Minigames was a massively popular minigames place, garnering nearly 100,000 visits in that short time span, which was super impressive for 2008. Shortly before getting banned, Weirdo closed the game. Just a few days before I wrote the script, the game was found. After being considered lost media for 14 years, it can now be played again. Except for this one minigame where the camera is broken and it just does this. In the early days of Roblox, the simplest of games could become mainstays of the front page. In early 2008, a game called Destroy the Wall was one of the top games on the entire site. It's very simple. Use fighter planes, rockets, and bombs to destroy a wall. The planes here used a hopper bin inventory item for controls, as many other plane models did back in the day. Hopper bins were like tools, with the only difference being that they didn't require handles to function. In 2015, Roblox deprecated the hopper bin class in Roblox Studio, breaking all uses of hopper bins in Roblox games, including these plane tools. As a side effect of the filtering enabled update as well, the rockets only shoot towards the center of the map. Be crushed by a speeding wall, originally created by the user Nintendo Zachary in 2007, is another great example of Roblox games from a much simpler time on the platform. The game is about players running from an incoming wall, dodging it by hiding in holes in the map. In 2016, the developer Bobby Seihai revamped the game, garnering over 650 million visits. Bobby Seihai's version is still active, while Nintendo Zachary's original version from 16 years ago is completely dead, mostly because it hasn't been updated in years. Dodge the Teapots of Doom, created by Clockwork in May 2007, is another classic. Unlike many others on this list, this game still works entirely, though as you can tell from the title of the gameplay is pretty repetitive and formulaic. You dodge incoming teapots to get to the end, and when you get to the end, the difficulty will increase for the rest of the players. For context, the teapot, which uses the infamous Utah teapot model, was a common inside joke between Roblox admins, specifically Clockwork. He was responsible for all the glitched teapot related items on the catalog too. There are also a few little known sequels to this map, all released in 2007 on Clockwork's personal website as place file downloads. These include Dodge the Homing Teapots of Doom, Teapots of Peace, and Bumper Teapots. For years, Roblox also had a most popular games of all time section on the front page. R92's Downhill Extreme, released in the summer of 2007, is a game about crashing cars down a hill. That's really it. Even through 2008, it remained a popular Roblox game, staying on that all-time most popular games list I was talking about, until dying out in 2009. Similarly to Downhill Extreme, mini flying buses, created in 2007 by a user named Bergley, stayed on that all-time most popular games list for an impressively long time for being as simple as it is. In mini flying buses, you fly around in miniature buses. Literally anything could become a hit on Roblox at the time. While many of the games I just mentioned are on the more obscure end already, I'd like to take some more time to appreciate the completely outdated, entirely forgotten, and fully deserted life roleplay games of early Roblox. These were a dime a dozen. You can scroll through old Wayback Machine snapshots of the games page from around 2008 to 2012, open up a bunch of new links, and find tons of Roblox roleplay games that just stopped being updated one day, up to 15 years ago, and people just left it as is. Some of these games have probably not been played by anyone in years, as there's no one to hang out with there anyway. These became super popular starting in early 2008, especially ones with building mechanics involved or keeping a job or occupation. None of them really have anything interesting or unique, so I won't go into specifics about each and every one. A social hangout game I'd like to highlight is Alex Neutron's Boys and Girls Club DJ, also known as just Club DJ. Initially published in 2009, Club DJ is a game where you hang out in a club with one person randomly being selected as a DJ to play songs. The original version from 2009 with 500,000 visits was shut down at some point around 2013. In 2017, it was rebooted and remastered as just Club DJ and got over 27 million visits. Both versions are completely dead. Starting around 2009, there were tons of school-related Roblox roleplay games. In all of them, the gameplay is almost the exact same. Hang out at school, pick an occupation, and so on. The most popular of this subgenre is Cindering's Roblox High School, which came out a few years later, though there are many that came before it. Roblox Junior High School by JJ Storm was super popular from 2011 to 2013 and has over 10 million visits. Nowadays though, the game is entirely deserted like many others from its time. Many of the earliest and simplest PvP places in brick battle fighting games are completely abandoned. Most of these only have one map, one mode, and a select few weapons, usually stolen from one of Shedletsky's games. Defaultio's Frozen Peak, released in late 2008, is a perfect example. Frozen Peak is a winter-themed capture the flag map with hidden secrets throughout that was highlighted on Roblox's front page for a while in early 2009. As of 2023, it's entirely unplayable. The game relied on the same free model flags that Ultimate Paintball used, which broke as a result of the filtering enabled update, causing the game to not function properly. It's been dead for far longer than that, but that was the final nail in the coffin for the game. The original versions of these weapons that all of these old places have no longer work with filtering enabled, which is why Roblox re-released versions of them that work with modern Roblox as free models a few years back. Balance is an insanely simple one. This was created by Matt Dusek in 2007. In it, you fight other players on a wobbly platform. Other than the two weapons, which were free assets made by another Roblox admin, this game only has one line of code. That's it. For how simple it is, it's a fun gameplay formula for about 5 minutes, and it's a perfect example of how simple Roblox games used to be. In 2007, one line of code could get you 300,000 Roblox visits. Similar to Balance, Clockwork had a popular sword fighting place called Vertigo, not that Vertigo, made in 2008, where players fight in a colorful spinning cube. This one actually works. In January 2008, the Roblox staff team held a contest for places to be hosted on the Builderman Roblox account. One of the most popular entries was King of the Hill, created by Josh117 and Zuka. One player in a server is chosen to be the king, who has to survive waves of peasants trying to take the throne, using swords and giant boulders. For each kill, you receive a certain amount of points, which can be used in the shop to buy upgrades. Since then, King of the Hill dropped off in player count and was eventually closed out of nowhere. And for a short honorable mention before I close off this video, Land of the Silent Sun, created by SharpTH in 2009, which has over 770,000 visits. Land of the Silent Sun was once a well-known samurai-themed sword fighting game with a distinct grayscale design. Nowadays, the original source of this map seems to be completely forgotten, though most newer players that remember it likely know about it from a remastered version that was used in the game Fighting with a PH. A sequel with guns and improved design was planned to be released around 2011, though it was never published. Also, a neat little detail that's often forgotten about this game: the ninja stars that are in the game will not hurt you if you are wearing the Ninja Mask of Light hat on your avatar. I hope you found this video detailing the stories of abandoned Roblox places interesting. In the next few days, I'll have a video on my second channel going through more obscure Roblox places that didn't make the cut in this video. If you want to play more games like these yourself, I also recommend checking out the Twitter account happyhome.rbxl, which posts abandoned Roblox games daily. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
All the way up there. Yeah.